Hello everyone, welcome back to Remind, knowledge sharing channel self-development through good books. This week, I want to share with you an incredibly valuable book.
There is a character who has no real name, pathetic, hateful, and yet ridiculously funny all at once. His name is AQ. Most of us know him from Lu Xun's masterpiece, The True Story of AQ. We once laughed at this pitiful figure, but behind that laughter, many of us suddenly catch a glimpse of ourselves. The adult who is equally pitiful, hateful, and laughable. That shadow still walks among us today. Every single one of us carries a little AQ inside. If you truly understand AQ, you will also recognize three great truths about life. These three truths act as a mirror, helping you look straight at your own limitations, past wounds, and self-deceptions, so you can finally stand up strong in the middle of life's illusions. Part 1. We all numb ourselves with the spiritual victory method. AQ is a man from the very bottom of society. No family name, no hometown, no home, no steady job. A person with 6 nothings is naturally despised by everyone. Yet AQ feels no shame. To him, it's perfectly normal. One day, after downing 2 bowls of liquor, he danced around wildly, bragging that he shared the same surname as the powerful Zhao family in the village. He even calculated that, by generational rank, he was 3 levels above the Zhao family's young scholar. The Zhao patriarch heard this, rushed over, and slapped him hard across the face. "You filthy beggar dare claim kinship with me?" AQ went silent, swallowed the insult, and even lost the right to his own surname. Moments later, however, he comforted himself. "My son will surely become a high official one day." And just like that, he was happy again. No matter how miserable or uncertain tomorrow looked, AQ possessed a magical weapon, the spiritual victory method. When beaten and unable to fight back, he would wait until the attacker left, then declare inwardly, "That guy who hit me is actually my son." The whole world had lost its mind, but AQ was perfectly fine. Even when arrested, he stayed calm, thinking, "Sometimes people just get arrested, it's normal." When he finally lost everything in a gambling win that was stolen from him, he slapped himself a few times. "There, I just beat my enemy," then fell asleep satisfied. In short, no matter what happened, AQ could always twist reality into a story where he came out the spiritual winner. In that imaginary world, a weak man like him could detach himself from a cruel society. The spiritual victory method became his ultimate psychological defense, preserving the last scraps of joy in his wretched life. Some say, he's so poor and oppressed. If he weren't this optimistic, how could he survive? But was AQ truly happy? Was he truly optimistic? Even today, countless people cannot tell real optimism apart from self-anesthesia. The spiritual victory method is everywhere. Inside every one of us lurks a little AQ, ready to jump out and perform solo. Failed an exam? The questions were unfairly hard. Didn't perform well? I was sick. Criticize at work? They're just jealous. I don't need this job anyway. Someone else succeeds? They just got lucky with family support. In conflict, we belittle the other person or exaggerate our own strengths. These comforting lies soothe our wounded pride, but they cannot fool our true selves. AQ's spiritual victory method is a cocktail. 3 parts anger, 3 parts complaint, 4 parts self-compromise. The simplest way to know if you're doing the same, ask yourself, are my words born from anger? From resentment? Am I inventing excuses to avoid reality and justify failure? Injecting a dose of anesthetic so we don't feel like losers is easy, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. It keeps us drowsy in psychological sleep, burying us inside a shell, cutting us off from real growth and transformation. Therefore, when something upsets you, don't rush to anger, don't rush to blame, and don't rush to justify. All of those are just sedatives leading to a fake spiritual victory. Part 2. The weaker we are inside, the more we bully those below us. Once, right after being beaten, AQ had nowhere to vent. He spotted a young nun, spat, rubbed her shaved head, then pinched her cheek hard. The crowd in the tavern roared with laughter. The nun fled in shame. AQ's trampled dignity was instantly soothed by humiliating someone weaker. He felt triumphant. Lu Xun wrote, "The weak are always furious, yet they draw their swords only against those even weaker." We laugh at AQ for fearing the strong and bullying the weak, but look around today. Employees crushed by bosses take it out on interns. Students bullied by seniors turn around and torment juniors. Fathers, stressed at work, come home and shout at wives and children. Keyboard warriors hide behind screens and attack strangers to feel superior. We are polite to outsiders, yet explode at the people closest to us. Aren't we all carrying our own little AQ? Writer Lu Xun once said, "Whoever bullies those beneath them must fear those above them." That is human nature. The weaker our inner world, the more easily we are controlled by external circumstances. When self-esteem is wounded, we desperately seek ways to restore the feeling of control. Psychology calls this displaced compensation. We all crave mastery over our lives. When pressure or humiliation comes from a source we cannot or dare not resist, that sense of control vanishes. To regain it, we pick a safer target, someone weaker, or a relationship with little risk of loss. This is only temporary anesthesia. It solves nothing at the root and keeps the cycle of bullying alive. The result? Perpetual anger, no liberation, harm to ourselves and others. If you catch yourself using the spiritual victory method, pause for 3 seconds when irritation rises. Breathe deeply and name the emotion. I'm angry because my boss criticized me. I'm frustrated because my child won't listen. Naming pulls activity back to the rational brain. Then redirect the energy safely. Journal, exercise, meditate, reflect. The Buddha taught, anger is a fire that burns the one who carries it first. Only by looking straight at the flame inside us can we keep it from burning down the entire forest around us. The strong are not those who never get angry. They are those who can transform the river of anger into a cool stream that nourishes themselves and others. If you cannot change the wind, learn to adjust your sails. If you cannot change others, learn to master yourself. That is how we escape the trance of the spiritual victory method. Part 3. The more desperately we try to appear superior, the more our inferiority shows. After harassing the young nun, AQ began fantasizing about women. While working for the Zhao family, he suddenly knelt before the maid and declared, "I want to sleep with you." Terrified, she screamed and ran. AQ lost his job, was beaten, shunned, and forced to flee the village. 6 months later, he returned in new clothes, suddenly generous with money. He bragged that a high official in the city had noticed him and that he had helped the man. The villagers suddenly respected him. AQ kept boasting about everything he had supposedly seen in the city until he felt he was almost equal to the Zhao patriarch. In that moment, he stood at the peak of victory. The truth? He had only joined a band of robbers as a gatekeeper. When the villagers discovered the lies, their contempt grew even deeper. People who desperately want to appear superior are always trying to prove something. Those who use fake achievements to show they are better than others are actually the most deeply insecure. Yu Hua wrote, "The feeling of superiority is just inferiority walking on its hands." We love posting where we've been, what we've eaten, what we own, who we know, how great we are, just to prove we're special and to harvest admiration. Yet the more we decorate ourselves with external things, the more we reveal the emptiness inside. Truly experienced people are calm. Truly confident people are humble because they don't need anyone else's gaze to shine. They already glow in simple, quiet light. When we live with clarity, we no longer need to flaunt a sense of superiority. Self-compromise, excuses, dumping anger on the weak or on loved ones, and bragging, these are the deadly trio of the spiritual victory drug. One sign means we're already living in illusion. 2 signs mean we're deep in the drug. Usually when one appears, the other 2 follow, forming a dangerous cocktail. It paralyzes our ability to face reality. It puts us to sleep with the feeling that everything is fine, while in truth we drift further from self-mastery and genuine inner strength. A person lost in the desert who drinks a mirage only forgets thirst for a moment. It doesn't save their life. To wake up, we must first dare to look straight at the truth. I need to change. When we see that every excuse, every outburst, every boast stems from a lack of true control over ourselves, only then can real change begin. Instead of justifying, take responsibility. Instead of dumping anger, release it healthily. Instead of showing off, quietly build real ability. When our inner world is full, we no longer need anesthetic to chase a fake, victorious self. Part 4, the psychology of the onlookers. In Lu Xun's stories, there are always crowds standing by, laughing, mocking, pointing fingers. Every time AQ was humiliated, people gathered to laugh and add fuel to the fire. One night, AQ happened to pass the Zhao house right after a robbery. Because of his past petty thefts and the lazy investigation, he was arrested for the crime. The authorities used the chance to kill one to warn 100, and AQ was sentenced to death. On the way to execution, he looked at the crowds. For the first time in his life, he felt real fear. Their eyes were cold, sharp, indifferent to his innocence, yet hungry like wolves. After his death, public opinion called him a criminal, but people were still dissatisfied. Shooting wasn't as entertaining as beheading, and the ridiculous prisoner had walked through town without singing a single opera tune, wasting everyone's time. This is the psychology of the onlooker. Those who mocked and despised AQ never realized they were living their own versions of the spiritual victory method, using contempt for others to feel momentarily superior and to forget their own powerlessness and emptiness. The onlookers in the story didn't kill with their own hands, but they created a collective atmosphere of oppression, no different from today's toxic comment sections and laughing emojis under someone else's tragedy. Therefore, the next step in our growth is to learn not to mock, not to judge anyone or anything. Conclusion. Aish is a tiny character, yet he is also a giant, multifaceted prism reflecting every dark corner of the human soul. Before laughing at something or someone, ask yourself, deep in my mind, am I using some form of spiritual victory to hide my own fear or lack? Many readers see in this work the oppression of feudal society or the limits of the 1911 revolution. And that is indeed the great message Lu Xun wanted to send. But today, we simply reread it together to contemplate the AQ psychological phenomenon and quietly shine the light on ourselves. Because ultimately, the source of an inspired life does not come from judging others or society. It begins with awakening right inside our own hearts. That awakening is the courage to admit, to some degree, an AQ lives in every one of us. Only when we have the courage to look him straight in the eye can we step out of self-deception and begin to live more awake, more loving, and more authentic, with ourselves and with life itself. Thank you for listening today. If this video was helpful, please share it with someone who needs it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss new videos every week. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one.